Good evening, everyone. Welcome you this evening to Tuesday, July 26th, regular council meeting. Call the meeting to order at 7 o'clock. Start with the land acknowledgement. Blackfalds Town Council acknowledges that we are on Treaty 6 territory as well as Métis Nation Region 3, the traditional meeting ground, gathering place, and traveling route to the Cree, Saulteaux, Blackfoot, Métis, Dene, and Nakota Sioux. We acknowledge all the many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit whose footsteps have marked these lands for centuries. First item is the adoption of the agenda. Administration, any changes to the agenda this evening?
No, there isn't, Your Worship.
Council, anything to add? Seeing that, can I get a motion to adopt the agenda? Councilor Dennis.
I move to accept the agenda.
Thank you. Thank you. All in favor? That's accepted unanimously. We have no delegations, no public hearing, no business arising from the minutes. First item of business is the CAO report.
Thank you, Your Worship and Council. I was under the impression the council did receive a copy of the report. My apologies. I talked to the VA and I think we've nailed on the problem. So going forward, you will be receiving those documents. The verbal report I'm providing is primary activities of various departments and divisions. Municipal enforcement, they've been working hard on completing the agreement, installation, and training for the communication sharing memorandum of understanding with the City of Lacombe Police. With the implementation of this initiative, we will see an increase in officer safety and awareness through officers having access to the Canadian Police Information Center queries from vehicles and being monitored for safety and status by the Lacombe Police. Initial tests have shown this is working well. And there are a few modifications will still need to be completed to ensure the GPS tracking and mapping. And this will greatly assist officers as they are often working alone. With fire, there's been continued work on developing training space at the old Public Works Yard. Council has seen recently with the fire chief's presentation, a CCAM that's been used. Most recent addition of 2 CCAMs will be added in the next couple of weeks. These will be placed on the southwest side of the compound and will be a great addition to the training facility, allowing officers to simulate live fire scenarios within a closed environment. This has also been a great opportunity to improve on the synergy with the City of Lacombe Fire Service and their training needs. The department is also planning stages of the NFPA 1001 Level 2, in which our facility will be utilized for the training, with the final exam being completed at the City of Red Deer's training facility. The Blackfalds RCMP weekly reporting of work being conducted is continuing and is being shared through the town's social media with assistance of marketing and communications. There's been a lot of interest in this from the public, and most viewers have provided favorable responses. The July 4th post showed it reached 4,300 people, with 711 reacting to the post through sharing, liking, or commenting. With economic development, we're finalizing preparations and performances for the Blackfalds Community Showcase taking place over the HAHL Showcase weekend. Festivities to include pancake breakfast, stage performances, Lacombe Regional Tourism Information Booth, kids games, and library activities. Work has also begun on the agritourism study and strategy with Central Alberta Tourism Alliance, with community engagement soon to follow. The division has been strategizing with Lacombe Regional Tourism and neighboring municipalities to position Blackfalds as a host or co-host for 2 major sport tourism events over the next few years. Our economic development officer attended the Site Link conference in June with neighboring Alberta municipalities and a selection of North American site selectors. Facilitation of discussions and negotiations on a 55+ residential community resulting in a feasibility study is currently taking place. Corporate Services received the findings of the LWA Consulting GST review. This review examined our records for the past 4 years and identified any GST that was not claimed that we could claim. The report found approximately $7,000 of unclaimed GST, which we have now claimed. We reviewed the trends and updated our processes to ensure that GST is not missed in some of these areas in the future. The GST miss is related to items that are deemed to include GST and personal expense reimbursements. We welcomed Jordan Bauman to the Corporate Services team. He is hired as a financial analyst and would be a huge support with the accounting analysis, reporting, year-end, and budget processes. Development of the 2023-24 capital plan is well underway, as well as the update to the 10-year capital plan. Marketing communications are prepping for the fall program activity guide. It was decided to keep the next edition online only to determine the accuracy of the information post-COVID before printing once again. We're also looking at bringing back advertisers for the winter program guide to help reduce costs. And further to that, I was made aware that a lot of our advertisers are seeking advertising in our program guide and see it as a worthwhile investment. Assisting FCSS with the marketing communications for the upcoming Blackfalds Culture Days, including posters, social media posts, and the drive-in movie poll. IT and records management, continuing the installation of wireless access points throughout the town facilities to provide secure Wi-Fi network for all staff. Published the ERP for council chambers upgrades and scheduling site visits over the course of this week, and I believe there's been 5 companies that have come in to look at what our options are for our audio and visual needs for council chambers. So we should get some good participation. Infrastructure and property services, the department has managed to secure a contractor to complete the line painting for the town this summer. This includes painting curbs, parking stalls, center line, etc. Given the issues a number of municipalities have had over the past 2 years securing paint, we're looking forward to completing this task. The development of the asset management strategy is underway with the infrastructure services manager and asset management coordinator working collaboratively to complete the report. The report is anticipated to be ready for council review in early September. The department will also be bringing forward revisions to the asset management policy as part of the asset management program updates. The Wolf Creek Public School Board was provided with a public engagement summary of the Wolf Creek Public School Boundary and Grade Configuration Advisory Committee, along with a recommendation for their consideration. The board chose to defer this decision at this time and will be reviewing all information gathered to date in the fall with the intention to have a decision by Christmas break. The advisory committee's work has come to an end, and additional public engagement will be through the Bang the Table platform. Department staff are continuing to work with both future and current landowners interested in either subdividing existing parcels or creating new area structure plans, which is showing some confidence in our local market. Womax and Great Street project pavement is nearing completion. The roadway and rail crossing switchover is planned for July 28th, this Thursday, closing Broadway Avenue crossing and opening the new northern crossing for traffic. With the traffic routing change taking place on July 28th, the Marketing Communication Division prepared a public notice and social media posts for that change. The associated Highway 2A work is still unknown. Schedule is still unknown, but planned to be completed this current construction season. For community services, specific to the Abbey Center, they launched the first ever Thanks for Being Awesome campaign July 1st, which has staff handing out coupons in July and August at their discretion to youth 17 years old and under. Staff may give them out when they witness youth doing an act of kindness, treating someone with respect, or if a youth is having a rough day and needs a bright spot. These coupons can be turned into food services for a free slushie. Hot tub repairs are complete. The hot tub opened for the season July 1st. Unfortunately, the parts required for the spray park have not yet been received, and all efforts are being exhausted to find alternative solutions to have the system up and running. This is all because of supply chain issues that continue to plague multiple industries. Camp Curious Gardens have been planted for the first time in the history of the program. The children are having fun learning about plants, planting, watering, and how growing our own food is beneficial. Thrifty Thursdays continue July 7th with 10% off punch passes, and we're finding that users are contacting the center to ask what the next month's cost saving is. We've invited Field Hockey Alberta to host a try-it-free session in the Fieldhouse 3 on July 25th, so local youth can learn the basics of the sport of field hockey. Warmer weather's had our outdoor aquatic center at capacity several times, and it's been managed well with our wait list best practice, and the public has been very understanding and receptive to the change of no outside food being allowed outside of the eating area. Summer swim lessons have also been filling up at a rate of approximately 80%. With some of our projects, the interior work of the food bank is at the drywall stage, with exterior work that is taking place. It includes the removal of 2 overhead doors and replacement of windows, paneling, doors that I'm quite certain council has noticed. The Civic Center lower level renovations are going well, the current status being that of the drywall stage. For events, pre-planning for fall winter events is underway, including Monster Bash, Culture Days, breakfast and lunch with Santa, light at Blackfalds, and New Year's Eve pre-skate. The acoustic panels at the Eagle Village Center will be completed this week, and it is very apparent that the sound quality has been greatly improved. FCSS continues to work closely with Morehouse Associates as a survey portion of the social needs assessment is underway. Also, coordination of the back to school program is ramping up with over 110 Blackfalds children and youth being supported to success at the beginning of September. Summer youth programming is underway and has been well attended by all involved. Parks facilities, Ulster Park has been busy this month with many baseball tournaments. The Parks group have been planting trees in some of our green spaces around our community, including the Bark Park and green space on Paramount Crescent. Also, the Eagle Village Center landscaping has been started with some trees being planted and other perennials around the site. That's my report, Your Worship, the Council. I'll ensure the Council gets covered.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from Council for CAO? Council? Okay. Seeing none, can I get a motion to accept information?
I'll move to accept CAO report as information.
Further discussion? All in favor? That's unanimous. Item 7.2, request for decision, Wordmark and corporate branding policy.
Your Worship and Council, before you do have the Wordmark and corporate branding policy before you. The policy is coming before the regular council meeting as the standing committee was cancelled last month. Guidelines for the town and for the use of the logo are required to ensure the corporate image is always presented in the most visually suitable and professional format in a variety of uses. Administration has realised the need to make adjustments internally to our community branding, utilising the Wordmark standards. With these standards, the town will no longer be utilising the logo and slogan that was updated in 2014, as it no longer visually reflects the brand story and the brand statement of Blackfalds. So going forward, the town of Blackfalds will only use the Wordmark as it provides a clean, presentable alternative. So there's 2 administration recommendations on the motions tonight. The council adopt the Wordmark and corporate branding policy 154.22 as presented, and the council will rescind the logo and corporate branding policy 112-/14. With that, I'll open it up for any questions.
Thank you, Director Bresser. Any questions from council? Councilor Brown.
Thank you. Not a question, just I think a potential spelling error. In the procedure 2.3, it says the Wordmark should only be used in a vertical format. My guess is that was likely supposed to be horizontal, but otherwise, in the rest of the document, everything else looked fine.
We'll make that adjustment.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions?
No, but if there aren't any, I'm prepared to move.
Absolutely, we do have two motions.
Certainly, I would love to move the council adopt the Wordmark and corporate branding policy, 154.22 as, I'll say amended, but it was just a spelling error.
Thank you. Any debate or discussion on that motion? Seeing none, all in favor? That is unanimous. We have a second motion that rescinds the previous policy. Councillor Coulter.
I move the council rescinds the logo and corporate branding policy 112/14.
Thank you. Debate or discussion on that motion? All in favor? It is also unanimous. Thank you. 7.3, request for decision, the quarterly financial report.
Good evening, Your Worship and Council. So you have the financial statements for the period ending June 30th. They include the operating statement, variance analysis, and capital projects report, and the council expenditure report. These are meant to give council an update on the town activities, starting with Appendix A, the operating statements of revenue and expenditures. This report shows the revenue and expenses in each department and compares it to the town budget. The operating statements for this period show the town's earned 10.7 million in revenue, which is about 48% of the budget. And the expenditures are 9.7 million, which is also about 48% of the budget. Generated a surplus to date of 1,042,000, which is prior to any reserve transfers. And as you know, we'll do those at the end of the year. So town operations are on track. We showed the environmental section a little bit below that, where we like to show it separately because it's self-funded. And again, all the surplus in the environmental section will be transferred to utility reserves. Appendix B is the divisional statements and variance analysis. This shows you each division's revenue netted against its expenses. The most common reason for any variance in this year to date is some of the department activities are seasonal. Summer activities are reported mostly next quarter. Oil and gas expenses are trending to be a little over budget, but it's being offset by some of the other savings in like staff vacancies and a few other items. Appendix C is the capital project summary. So that report shows us the all the projects for the year. Capital project expenses to date are 2.8 million. So many of the construction projects are well underway. Womax and Greg Street realignment, East Area Storm, McIver Ranch lift station. And some of the projects have just started in progress, like food bank renovations, civic center lower level renovations, safety railing at the EDC center. There's some slight comments in there as well. Some of the items are complete, floor scrubber, score clock, photocopier, the tandem truck. Any questions regarding the capital projects or the variance analysis? Appendix D is the council expenditure report, and this just shows us that councilor expenditures are on track for the year to date. If there's no, that's what we have for the financial reports. Is there any questions?
Council? I will say we did get some feedback from residents that was quite pleased to see, had very positive comments, how the town is managing finances, so I just would like to pass that on.
Oh, well, that's good.
Seeing no other questions, we do have 3 motions that administration is recommending. Councillor Sands.
I'll move that council accepts the operating statement variance analysis reports for the period ending June 30th, 2022 as information.
Thank you. Comments or debate on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor? Unanimous. Second motion to accept the capital project report ending June 30th. Deputy Mayor Stendy.
I'll move that council accept the capital project report for the period ending June 30th, 2022 as information.
Thank you. Debate or discussion? All in favor? Unanimous. And the third recommendation is to accept council expenditure report. Councilor Pell.
Thank you. I move council accepts the council expenditure report for the period ending June 30th, 2022 as information.
Thank you. Debate or discussion? All in favor? Also unanimous. Business item 7.4, request for decision on the community engagement budget survey.
Yeah, so it's that time of year again where we need to seek some feedback from the citizens regarding budget priorities. Attached is the 2023 budget survey. The survey's going to be available to start August 22nd and conclude on September 11th. Similar to last year, the question is, what is the level of satisfaction with town services? And the survey addresses the main departments. Each question, there is a comment box, and there's one big comment box at the end, or for general comments. Also, with past surveys, we found that the comments have been a great source of feedback. Each department's usually given a copy of the comments, and when they hear what individuals have to say, it helps them seek out where they need improvement, set priorities, or initiate changes. We will be promoting the survey on town social media accounts. We're going to have a QR code with a link to the survey. And we'll be holding a draw for participating. That seems to be successful for most surveys. We're going to be giving a $100 credit for the utility bill and some Blackfalds swag. So, also, again, the survey will coincide with the council open house at the Community Information Expo on September 7th. So if council's had a chance to review the survey, is there any questions regarding the survey?
Deputy Mayor Stendy.
The only suggestion that I have is for number 3, rather than no tax increase, service levels will be reduced. Can we choose will to may? That's it. That's the only suggestion I have this time. Otherwise, it was beautifully put together. I loved it.
Councilor Pell.
Thank you. Mine's just more of a question. One of the comments we received last year was in regards to the open-ended boxes. There was a character limit of like 225 characters or something. Can we up that at all? Because it's really hard to have a thoughtful, concise answer. Well, maybe not concise, but it's hard to write it in that few of characters. So can we ensure that there's give them 1,000 characters so that at least we're getting properly structured sentences?
I will, I don't know about that piece, but Shelby does it, or our communications department, I'm pretty sure they can do that, so. Yeah.
Perfect.
The text box is bigger.
Yeah, they don't have to physically be bigger, but as long as the character allowance is significantly higher than they were last year. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? We do have a recommendation. Now, will we, yes, Deputy Mayor Stendy.
I'm prepared to move the council approve proceeding with the attached in-house budget surveys with the recommendations from council.
Thank you. Peter, discussion on the motion. Seeing none, all in favor? Thank you. And business item 7.5, the FCSS facility and furnishings.
Thank you, Worship, Council. The FCSS building currently provides space for FCSS operations. It currently includes 4.5 full-time employees as well as office space for Alberta Health Services, youth mental health, and contracted children's services. The building was formerly the Blackfalds Town Hall and was constructed in and around 1980. An inspection of the facility was conducted in 2018 as part of the Civic Facility Development Strategy and Master Plan, and found that the building was in sound structural condition at that time. The building currently is in need of some maintenance upgrades, with the most notable being re-roofing. Current operational costs for the facility are approximately $12,000 per year, which does not include any maintenance requirements. So the structure is over 40 years old and has served the community very well. At the June 15th, 2020 Standing Committee of Council report was provided that outlined town-owned facilities that were impacted due to a number of changes in operations and due to implementation of capital projects. One of these facilities included the existing FCSS facility, and administration sought preliminary input from the Standing Committee of Council to determine a course of action for administration to act upon relating to this facility. With the renovation of the former library space in the Civic Center approved and currently underway, additional information and discussion took place earlier this year at the Standing Committee held on March 14th for further consideration and determination relative to the FCSS facility. Much of the discussion centered around needed space for medical and social services utilization, as well for not-for-profit organization utilization. There was also information shared relative to the social needs assessment and outcomes and recommendations that will be forthcoming upon its completion. It was also confirmed during discussion that the area of land which the facility exists on was identified for future parking and utilizing the parking calculations for the Eagle Village Center, with the parking stall count estimated at 27 stalls for that specific area. Following the discussion, there was a motion that further information be gathered by administration to be brought forward to council. Another related matter that has been brought forward for discussion previously is that the furnishings for the newly renovated space in the lower level of the Civic Center. The options brought forward included the purchase of new furnishings for this space, for the option of bringing over and utilization of furnishings from the FCSS facility. Administration has identified two options to consider with the future of the existing facility once the transition over to the Civic Center takes place. One option is to have the structure demolished and the area transformed into expanded parking space, as previously discussed. This option not only provides needed additional parking, but opens up and improves the view towards the Civic Center. The other option is to have the structure remain and have it utilized by existing and possible additional medical and social service providers and partners. Administration has confirmed that AHS Children's Mental Health Services want to remain attendant, and administration has and continues to advocate for adult mental health services to also be provided from the facility. The Kids Connection Family Day Home Program providers are also wanting to retain office space. In addition, administration has met with a youth support services provider that is interested in office space for themselves and possibly for other associated partnering agencies. The building in physical space itself and layout is conducive for office administration activities, and should multiple agencies be utilizing the facility, some renovations may be needed for security and access requirements. With the matter of furnishings and previous discussions related to this subject, including the options to utilize them in the new renovated space or purchase new, there are 5 office spaces utilized by town staff with furnishings that are bare minimum and of lower quality and of various layouts and finishes. Administration is recommending that the decision is to have FCSS facility remain and repurposed, or that if the decision is to have it remain and repurposed, that the furnishings remain in the space for use for several reasons. One being that the workspace layout in the Civic Center renovated space does not work well with existing furnishings. In addition, it may create hardships for any organization utilizing the repurposed space in the FCSS facility to access and supply their furnishings. Administration will be developing a space and utilization policy in the near future that will assist further in decision making providing space for external agencies, including the determination of lease fees and associated considerations. Further to the furnishings requirement for the Civic Center lower renovation space, the administration is prepared to develop a request for proposal to secure furnishings so that these items are available upon completion of the renovations. The architectural process did include furnishings layout, so we have the information to assist us. It should also be noted a large portion of the estimated $50,000 capital cost for furnishings will be for the large general meeting space, as well as the meeting work room space. And that's over $20,000 just for the meeting room space, so we do not have furnishings for those spaces. There will be a financial implications in the budget, both operationally and with capital costs over the term identified as a plan for the repurposing of the building. These costs will be taken in consideration in the town's annual long-term budget cycles. The financial implications for the new furnishings will be determined via, if that was to go forward, via an RFP process, as the value is over $10,000. The funding for the purchase will be drawn from capital reserves. Therefore, administration's recommendation is one that council consider the information provided relative to the course of action relating to the FCSS facility and provide direction to administration relative to this item. And second, that council authorize administration to undertake the procurement of new furnishings for the Civic Center lower level renovation.
Thank you. Councilor, do we have questions? Firstly, with regards to the decision-making process on the use of the FCSS building, let's our staff move over to the Civic Center. Discussion on that matter? Councilor Paul?
Discussion related to that matter. Just a question through the chair to CEO Thompson. You mentioned that a space and utilization policy will be coming forward. Do we currently receive anything for lease fees for those spaces?
Yes,
We do. Okay, perfect. Then I look forward to seeing that policy. Thank you.
So I found this recommendation a little bit general. Are you looking for, obviously we have not yet received feedback yet in terms of, firstly, I think we were hoping to get an inventory of office space that's available for agencies moving forward. That would also include that building. And as well, as you mentioned, the social needs assessment was part of that factor as to whether or not we had a great need for that. Do you anticipate when that might be coming back? Because if the ministry's recommendation is to make a decision tonight on that, I feel that we don't have enough information to make a decision on that aspect.
Well, definitely the social needs assessment does factor into it. As far as other office space available in the community, we know that there's private sector space, but not offering like this as general office space. It's larger leased areas. And so, it's very hard for us to say some of these folks that have approached or are actually utilizing space there can find alternate space other than that facility, because I don't think that would be available in the community. I know in some communities that there has been private sector commercial buildings with individual office space that can be leased out by smaller companies. We don't have that currently here. And so I think what I heard from council is very important to look at the social and medical aspect. And we have some of those entities utilizing that space now. In discussions with other agencies, there is an appetite for that space. And again, whether that would be paid space or provided at no cost, that would be a decision that comes forward in the future through this policy that will be developed. If council feels that they want more time on this, we don't have to have a decision on that tonight. We do, however, need a decision on the furnishings if we were to purchase new furnishings, and I think we should because, we have a specific layout for those, and we have a brand new space. Looking at the furnishings over there, I think it'd be a disservice to try and make them work into the new office space. We should really get going on that purchase because it's several weeks to receive that, and quite likely the space would be finished before we'd be able to get those furnishings.
Yeah, I would definitely agree that it's kind of putting the cart before the horse. If we are still undecided as to whether or not we're using that space, it wouldn't be responsible to move that furnishings, even if we were utilizing some of it, and we're leaving an empty space that we would have to purchase or find some substitute for furnishings.
I think, to me, the way the building's set up, you come into the center corridor, and there's office space on the left, office space on the right, with some minor renovations. That building could easily be utilized to support 6 agencies that just need office space. And, I know we've had discussions on some of the youth groups, but it's not an activity space, it's office space. And so it would never make sense for it to be renovated for activity space. And we have those spaces within our organization.
Deputy Mayor Steady.
So I'm not sure how the rest of council feels, but to me, it is a no-brainer that we already have 3, potentially 4 organizations who would like to remain or start using that facility for office space. That's more than 3/4 full already, which shows that we have a need for that building in this community. That said, if there are no other questions, I would move that the current FCSS facility remain and be utilized by existing and possibly additional medical and social service providers and partners moving forward.
Well, do anyone else have questions or comments? I know I did have questions before we move for that, but now some of my questions would be, firstly, what costs would be associated to renovating that space for those other agencies? One of the things that to me would be a point to consider is, well, when we had FCSS in there and 1 or 2 agencies, there wasn't much of a concern about potential conversations that are likely confidential conversations being overheard from one agency to the other, because we were staffing that, and obviously our FCSS staff treat information very sensitively. That would be a consideration, whether that building is appropriate for various agencies, whether that's going to protect confidential discussions. That said, doesn't, there's always ways to deal with that, but what's the cost for that? Any comment on?
Yeah, right now we don't know what, if any, renovations would be required. We thought maybe a center wall dividing off the right and left. But the problem is the washroom access. So if there was any renovations, it would be very minimal. Because there's not a bunch you can do with there. I think there has to be careful consideration which agencies are in there, and that everybody is aware of security and confidentiality and those things, and conduct themselves in a manner that's conducive. It creates a conducive environment for all parties in there. And we haven't had any issues to this point, so I'm quite certain that it can be managed effectively. Yeah, at this time I don't know what those renovations, if any, would be required.
And is it fair to say that the policy that we're developing would actually determine what agencies could be in there because of that fact that they're sharing a space, and those agencies all have expectations?
Yeah, I'm not sure that at this time if the policy would include that, but definitely in some of the considerations, it definitely would be, because I think they'd have to be like-minded and programs that I guess not only benefit the municipality, but are similar in what they provide us.
Deputy Mayor Stanley.
So just to note that my motion included medical and social service providers, and I don't know of any who do not have a mandate that includes confidentiality.
Thank you. And then my other question was obviously this was initially planned as part of the parking for the Eagle Builder Center, and that's been a big concern from a lot of our residents as to what parking will be available. Do we have an alternative to replace those parking spaces? I think we've already lost potentially parking spaces because I think originally we contemplated that the building is now being used by the community food hub.
I guess what we're looking at over the course of this upcoming season is now that we have the additional parking spaces with removal of Broadway Avenue, will give us a true picture of what our challenges are. And we're also want to provide increased communication and direction for off-street parking and other parking close by. Because we know that we're not taking full advantage of some of the other parking spaces in relatively short distance. I think it's just a matter of getting the public used to the fact that you just can't park a few steps away from the doors, right? And so we'll work very hard with the Bulldogs to communicate that. Other than that, we will be prepared to bring some other options forward in the future should we find that we still have issues and not enough parking. We know from looking at other facilities in the region, there isn't a facility that I know of that has the full number of parking that's required. I don't have the name, I think we brought them up in the future. So I feel that we have considerable parking, and when you look at the fact that you can park at the community hall or park at the parking lot up here, park in downtown and simply walk a block, I think it's pretty easy. We can look at some leasing options along East Railway and some of those areas. So there is options for us. So it's not that if we don't take this and create those 27 stalls that we're in trouble as far as parking. We'll find a solution.
Okay, thank you. So, any other questions? So Deputy Mayor Stanley, could you please just, I think I have the gist of your motion, but just to make sure everybody's clear, could you restate that?
Yep, so I move that the current FCSS facility structure remain and be utilized by existing and possibly additional medical and social service providers in the future.
Thank you. Comments? Debate? I'll just comment, I actually do support this motion. I think that it's fairly clear. I regularly take part in the interagency meetings for FCSS, and we have, as far as I'm concerned, fantastic collaboration with numerous agencies that provide services. Not all of them within our community, and I would personally like to see more of those agencies actually being at least co-located within our community and having them centered in a facility like this building, despite not being huge, I think it would be a great asset for the community, so I'll certainly be supporting this motion. Any other later discussion on the motion? All in favor? That is carried unanimously, thank you. We have a second motion, which is with regards to the new furnishings for the Civic Center renovations, lower level space. I didn't turn my head quick enough to see those first, but comments or questions maybe before that motion? Deputy Mayor Stanley.
So something that I didn't see in the report that was brought up by another councillor, and I can't remember who, the furniture that is over at our other building, was any of that considered? Would any of that work in the new space?
There's very little over there, and what could be utilized is in the general public lobby, open hallway space. There's just some like end tables and things like that. So there's really no desks or anything like that that can be utilized.
Okay, so the reason I ask is because we have a couple of meeting rooms that need furniture. And when we had our last tour through that building, there were tables and office chairs that could potentially be utilized in those meeting room spaces. So I was wondering if we've taken like note of what's over there and whether or not we can use that even in a smaller meeting room.
We'll do a double check on anything that can be utilized there. So what's being, what was planned for the lower level meeting rooms is modular tables. So in that very large meeting room, I think there's 8 tables. Is it 8? 6? I think it's 8.
71.
7? Okay, that go together. And so the nice thing is they can be moved apart for different configurations. So, but we'll ensure that we utilize anything that can be utilized downstairs.
Okay.
That will be included in the RFP.
Councillor Coe.
Thank you. So we've spoken in the past, or we've discussed, sorry, that the large boardroom downstairs, the new boardroom that's being created, could be used for board meetings, potentially in the future. So since it is a space where we could hold public meetings, or meetings at least with members of the public, is there a potential for sponsorship of that boardroom and naming rights, similar to how we named the boardrooms over at the Abbey Center?
Well, to be honest, Council, we haven't given that any consideration. We definitely could look into that. We have our events project manager that could head that up.
Thank you. I was wondering, I'm not sure, is everyone in council clear with what Deputy Mayor Stenning was talking about in terms of furnishings? When we acquired the new operations center, there was quite a lot of furnishings that were donated, and that kind of a mix and match of furnishings that were previously used in that facility.
Yeah, it was an oil company that had shut down, and these furnishings were made available to us. And so we utilized a large bulk of it. There is some remaining components, so we'll just take a look and see what those are and how they can be adapted for continued use here.
And is there underused space in the operations center that is yet unfurnished, or is every space that will be used already furnished there?
Well, there is some additional office space downstairs that we didn't include office layout. So it'll be used for the future. So there isn't plans for furnishings right now. So no matter what, even if we were to go for RFPs for the furnishings, if we do have furnishings, that they would be utilized in the future for some of the expanded space.
So regardless of what we motion tonight, you will look at
Right.
what's usable before it comes back to council for approving.
Yes.
Thank you. Any other questions? Deputy Mayor Stenning.
Just one, have we had conversations with the organizations that are currently renting that space, AHS and Kids Connections, and asked them whether or not the furnishings that are in there are something that they would like to have in there, or if they would prefer to have their own?
Actually, Kids Connection, that's their own furnishings.
Okay.
I know that for sure, so. So I think there's 4 offices over there that we have furnishings.
Okay.
And they're not top quality, and they're not all the same. So I think they've been acquired over time, right?
And on that note, we also have small office space at the Wadey Center. Is that furnished currently, or is that empty? So because we're obviously looking for someone to take that space.
I think there's desks up there. I think all the offices upstairs have desks in them.
Yeah, there's large desks up there. No, definitely, we've been having a lot of discussions as of late on the Wadey Center, different options for that, because what we want to do is have that facility utilized effectively. Right? So there'll be some information coming forward in the future, getting some input from council. Possibly through a social needs assessment that might assist in that. So, but I believe, Your Worship, there is some furnishings, there's some limited furnishings. That space up here is very hot because it's an older building, and you go on a hot day, it smells like great grandma's house on the farm. That type of smells. It's it's an old structure, right? But that space is available, and but we've had no agency come forward looking for taking those issues.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Appel.
Thank you. Through the chair, I have one comment just related to the lower level renovations. At the corner of Broadway and Waghorn, there's a little green sign that points towards here, and it says Town Offices, Library, and Neighborhood Place. As the library is no longer here and Neighborhood Place no longer exists, and people might not know that that is now FCSS, should that little green placard
Sure,
sign
yeah.
potentially be removed?
Yeah, definitely.
Councilor Dennis.
Actually on Vista Trail, there's a sign pointing to go to, I think the St. Peter. It's when you're going southbound. Then we put in that new road. Which
Oh, right.
would, it's in between the road for the high school and Womack's,
Okay,
and you're going on Vista going south. There's a sign, one of the big signs and pointing, I'm not sure what all is on it.
Okay.
But if you follow the sign, you go down that construction zone.
okay, I will, one of the wayfinding signs.
Cleaning up some wayfinding issues. Thank you.
Okay.
So we do have an administrative recommendation that was essentially would put us in an RFP procedure for furnishings for downstairs. So, I'm going to make a motion with that effect or alternate. Councilor Appel.
Certainly, I'm willing to move that council authorize administration to undertake the procurement of new furnishings for the civic center lower level renovations.
Thank you. We need to lead to a discussion on that motion. Deputy Mayor Stindy.
Just a comment that I will be voting in favor of this with the understanding and acknowledgement that administration will be looking at everything that we have available prior to purchasing new.
Thank you.
And then just a other comment that council acknowledges it will be coming forward to council before any purchases are made, because it's more than $10,000. So we'll have to finance it.
Thank you. Any other discussion or debate on the motion? All in favor? And that is unanimous. Thank you. Action correspondence items, we have 8.1, the Alix Day Parade invite on August 13th. Anyone particularly interested in that parade? I am available if no one else is interested.
I can also go if you.
You had a good time at the?
Yeah, it was a riot. We had a blast, so.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd like to go to that.
Well, and I'll
Okay.
I'll have you take that. So if we can get a motion that Councilor Sands will be attending the Alix Day Parade.
I'll make a motion.
Councilor Dennis, all in favor? That is unanimous. And information items, 9.1, economic development tourism strategy updates. Questions? Councilor Bell.
Thank you. Through the chair to CAO Thompson, if we have specific questions in regards to the information in this, how would you like us to
You
email
can
them
forward
to
that
you?
information on to me and I'll pass it on to the information you need.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. 9.2, letter from Minister McIver, 2022 Minister Awards for Municipal and Public Library Excellence. How did we not win? Good question. Right, that's pretty awesome library timing. 9.3, Municipal Planning Commission meeting minutes from April 26th. Nine point four, Lacombe County highlights from July 14th. Any questions comments on any of the information items? If not, can I get a motion to accept information items? Councilor Dennis.
I'll move to accept the information items.
Thank you. All in favor? That is unanimous. Thank you. And we have roundtable discussions this evening. Councilor Schwab sent her regret. She's on vacation, so she has just provided a report. You're here to speak. We'll start with Councilor Coulter and work our way to the right.
I don't really have much to add, except the Grimby Parade was a lot of fun when I did it.
Parades are always fun. I think just about everybody here got a chance to take part in a parade. A lot of us did anyways. Good summer for that. Councilor Dennis.
Pretty straightforward. Restorative justice case. We had a beanie to a business in town and 5 youths. And they're doing different volunteering and stuff. We apologize to the business owner. And it's a pretty good success rate that they've had so far. Keeping it out of the courts and stuff.
Thank you. That would be consistent with what our RCMP report was on
Yeah.
that program. Thank you. Councilor Pill.
Thank you. Just, of course, I'm here for questions if anyone has any questions, but I will just note that the Chamber of Commerce is working on a significantly elevated Business of the Year Awards event than we've had in the past, obviously with the exception of the past 2 years. So they're working with a few local businesses and an event planner to make it quite spectacular. So look out for it in October.
Thank you. Councilor Sands.
I do have a couple items that I need to add here as I jumped ahead in my calendar before. And that was for June 17th and 18th for the Eagle Builders Center grand opening, and then the pancake breakfast. And Blackfalds Day is on the 18th, so please don't throw tomatoes. I know these are 2 very, very important events that I was fortunate enough to take part in, so I apologize for not putting those forward sooner. So, thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Stanley.
I have no additions.
Thank you. I'm not sure anybody that has questions can forward them. As you can see, a lot on my list. A very busy month. Fantastic that we were finally able to hold a very active Blackfalds Days. The opening of the Eagle Village Center was exciting to take part in the concert series, which I think the town and the promoter are hoping will grow moving forward. I know I enjoyed concerts on both nights. I think probably there's so many things. Taking part in the powwow, which for me is the first time I've taken part in a powwow, in particular as a dignitary. And I think because I was taller than the average person, I was grabbed to be a flag bearer. So I got to be front and center with 2 incredibly fantastic Indigenous dancers on either side of me, just to make me look like, well, I can't dance very well, but I definitely didn't look like a great dancer with the 2 of them on either side of me, but I did my best. One of the hottest events I think I've ever taken part in. And then near the end, after Blackfalds Days, I took part in the Kids and Cops Camp, which is a camp that's organized by Big Brothers Big Sisters Lacombe in cooperation with the Lacombe Police Department, and I took part in that for the full week, which I can't say enough about both of those organizations. Big Brothers and Big Sisters, obviously I've been part of that for a few years as a mentor, but to see the impact that they have on youth and the relationship that they have with law enforcement, not just in Lacombe, but with the RCMP, with our community police officers. There were kids from both Lacombe and Blackfalds. They break them up into two different teams, essentially, that compete in numerous law enforcement related exercises and activities. Dress them up in little uniforms and give them a belt with pepper spray and pistol or plastic pistol and handcuffs. These kids are between 8 and 12. And it didn't matter what the scenario was, it always ended up being pepper spray and handguns, even if it was just a simple traffic stop. It was fun to watch. I think there were probably close to 20 peace or police officers that also took part in this. So they have a fantastic opportunity to connect with in the community. So I would highly recommend in the future if anybody wants to take part in that. They're always looking for volunteers to be actors in their scenarios, which I thought was really fun. They had events that took place in Lacombe, Blackfalds, as well as Red Deer. I think there was some graffiti that ended up on our brand new Eagle Builder Center that hopefully has been sorted out as part of the scenario, but fantastic time. So if anybody next year wants to be involved, they're always looking for some great actors, in particular kids. So anybody here that has kids that are great at acting, they would have fun with that. And if anybody has any other questions about what I took part in this month, feel free to ask. Right, so if we get a motion to accept roundtable discussions as information. Councilor Coulter.
I move to accept council's roundtable as information.
Thank you. All in favor? And that is unanimous. 11.1 minutes from the regular council meeting on July 12th. Any errors or omissions noted? Give it a moment.
Nope, never mind.
Good job. Need a motion to accept the minutes as presented. Will you make that motion since you are looking so closely at?
Well, now I'm wondering, I thought I saw. Okay,
Just in case.
I'll mention it. I thought somewhere that Councillor Sand's name was listed as just Sand.
I think
But
that
I-
was in an NPC meeting, wasn't it?
Ah,
I
okay.
think that's.
So that was provided as information that,
Right.
all right.
Okay, that's why I don't have a note on it then.
Yeah, doesn't have the S. Yeah.
So nothing.
These minutes look great,
okay.
apparently.
Okay. Do you want to move to
Absolutely, I would love to move.
Councillor
Minutes
Cobb?
be accepted as presented.
All in favor? That's unanimous, thank you. We have no notices of motion. Business for the good of council.
Actually, sorry, I don't know that I can move that. I wasn't present in the meeting. I watched it, but I wasn't present, so I don't know that I can move the minutes are correct.
I think you're right.
Yeah, I don't think I can. Sorry.
Okay, so let's.
I'll move it.
Councillor Dennis.
I watched the meeting. It
All in
sounded like
favor?
that's all that happened.
That's unanimous, thank you. Business for the good of council, 13.1. There is a, in our reading tray, a thank you card from the Optimist Club of Blackfalds. As well, there's, oh boy, the Waskasiu CP Traditional Powwow Planning Committee. Thank you card as well. There are no confidential items, so if there's nothing else, I'll adjourn at 8:04.